Yeah.
Okay.
Boom, 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 boom. Merry Christmas.
From Spain to here. How about that last play by English? Set up get 3-point shot. Did he whisper?
Yeah, Devontae Ticket Gaines with a three-pointer at the end of regulation to tie the score up at 69-69 and put this into overtime where the Friars dominated in the second period, or the extra period, of, as I should say, the extra 5 minutes of the game, and get the win over the Butler Bulldogs 85-75. John Rook, Joe Hasenbeck live here at the AMP for our Santander postgame show, and whew, that's about all you can say after that one.
You know, John, something can get unnoticed in that last play, but they run that play in practice. I've seen them do it where they get a late game situation where they need to get a three-pointer, and they set that up. They had to take the ball out of bounds, and Pierre's the guy who's going to rush the ball up the floor with his speed. He gets it all along the sideline, and he drives it all the way in underneath the basket. Now you have options to throw back out for the three-point line or in the deep corner here. And Gaines did a good job of moving to the spot he's supposed to, and he's wide open. And he was wide open a lot for three-pointers in this game, but that's a clutch shot. You don't even get the overtime if he doesn't make that shot. He misses that shot, the game's over. And he knocks it down. I mean, you got to give Gaines all the credit in the world to get to that point and to make Carter, who turned into Superman in the overtime, scoring 9 points of the 16. And he was just awesome out there. But Gaines was the reason why we got to that point. And Pierre did a good job of getting the ball down the floor and finding him with a good. He had a guy in the corner, but he finds Gaines, who's been hot in the ball game shooting threes, and he's the one open, knocks it down.
Well, for anybody who might have missed portions or even all of this game, it certainly didn't start out as exciting as it ended. Providence scored the first 15 points of this basketball game as Butler missed their first 11 shots from the floor before they finally scored. And again, the story that we told in the arena, and you didn't know, but Butler was not able to boosters together, and they chartered 5. The last plane didn't arrive until about 10:30 this morning, and they came over on the bus right here, right off of the plane coming from Indianapolis. So tough start to the day, but give all the credit in the world to the Bulldogs and Coach Thad Matta, because they just kept chipping away slowly and finally got their game going. And a huge part of that in the first half was thanks to Pierre Brooks, Joe.
Pierre Brooks, I mean, he was really good, and he was good mid-range game. He hit a couple of three-pointers. I mean, he's a solid player. This is a very good basketball team. You know, I looked at their schedule, John. You know, they lost to Florida Atlantic, who played in the Final Four last year, but, you know, they've beaten Texas Tech in overtime. They won another overtime game against California.
Yep.
So they've had some tough, close games, and they're able to play physical. They're a typical Big East team. Thad Matta does a good job with that team and got the ball in the hands of Lewis, who transferred in from Cal Irvine, who's a former anteater. I mean, those teams, that's a good program out there. He shoots 90% from the line. How about him? He gets on the foul line late in the game, makes all 6 of them. So this team is solid. They're going to be tough to beat in the Big East. So this is a good win for the Friars to get this one here out of the way at home, because you're going to have to play them again. This is a solid basketball team, Butler.
Well, Butler then, after falling in that 15-0 hole, Joe, outscored the Friars 33-22 over the final 15 minutes of the first half. And Providence had a 4-point lead at halftime, to 33 at that point. In the second half, then Devin Carter actually got the Friars going, hit an early three, and that lead was able to get back out a little bit more. But again, Butler just kept chipping away, not only because of their defensive effort, but their rebounding really did the story and did the job on Providence. They were also able to control the tempo.
Well, they got 12 offensive rebounds, which is a way they battle on the boards. They're big inside. Felt coming in, they have a size advantage, but they're not only tall, but they're big, rugged people who go in on the glass. And they did a good job of getting on the glass and getting second shot opportunities when they didn't score. You know, they started out 0 for 11, but their offensive board situation was helping them stay around in the game. But you mentioned, John, the Friars were on a 15-0 run to start the game, up 15-0, and they finished the game like that. I mean, they came out and got a roll going, and Devin Carter knocked down some three-pointers, but you know, the Friars did a good job of taking care of the ball in this ball game. So did Butler. The Friars only had 7 turnovers in the ball game. I mean, the Friars have had 18, 19 turnovers in some ball games, and Butler only had 5. So both teams, with the kind of defense both teams were playing, to not turn the ball over, that was very good execution by both clubs. And I thought the plays at the end of the game were really terrific by both coaches. Kim's call at the three-point line to get Gaines the wide open three. And the last second shot for Xavier, you had Davis, who's a heck of a shooter from the outside. He had to look at that shot, almost went in off the glass. So the execution by both teams was extremely good down the stretch.
Well, as the Friars had that 37-33 lead at the break, were able to swing it out a little bit larger. That got up to 7 points, but then Butler went on another run and finally took their first lead of the game after Landon Moore scored on a layup and took their first lead of the game with 12:42 to play, 47-46. From that point in time, it was pretty much even Steven. The score was tied 60-60. After a three-pointer was made by Devin Carter with 4:15 to go. And then from there, they got a DJ Davis layup, followed by Bryce Hopkins with a score that tied the score back at 62. And the Friars actually got another layup from Devin Carter. Actually, it was a dunk to make it 64-62 with 1:14 to go. And then Pierre Brooks kind of took over, hit a couple of free throws to tie the score at 64, and then DJ Davis again did his magic at the end with a layup to put his team up 66-64, and it was a three-point play as he got fouled on it, put him up 3 with 30 seconds to go before finally Ticket Gaines was able to turn over his magic and tie it up.
Yeah, that was the biggest lead Butler had in the ball game, too, at the end of the game there. But you know what? It came down to free throws again, John, and the Friars just shot 13 for 22 from the foul line at 59%. But the good part about that is they made their last 6 free throws. Carter made 4 in a row, and Pierre, who hasn't missed all year from the foul line, made 2 in a row.
13 for 13 from the line in the season.
So, you know, you got to have him in the game at the end of the game for sure. You have to have foul in that situation. But shockingly, Butler, as you mentioned, John, were they the top 10 free throw shooting teams in the country? They shoot 11 for 20 from the foul line.
Yeah.
I mean, they got to be kicking themselves when they get on that plane tonight. When you look at both teams, the effort that they put in this game, Butler shoots 55% from the foul line. The Friars shoot 59% from the foul line. It was a heck of a game, but not knocking down free throws could have cost both teams the game.
Yeah, so the Friars, as you said, Joe, the free throw line was critical for both teams as well. It's just Tim Fuller, the assistant coach for the Friars, who had the scout on the Butler Bulldogs, joined us here courtside. Coach, that was one that I think everybody probably needs to take a second to swallow and get the heart out of your throat, because that was the kind of game that it really was here this afternoon, and it didn't start out that way.
And well, the thing is, and Coach always says this, and it ended up being like in our favor today. Like, you know, how you start is how you finish.
So, yeah, that's the way it works.
So we came in. And that's what I was yelling to the guys in the timeout or in the period right before we went to overtime was, hey, start this overtime the way you started the game. Forget what just happened and start this overtime the way you finished the game, the way you started the game. And literally, like, that's we have so many pieces and we have so much power in our collective effort. When we are doing us and Providence is on its principles, it's a really like. It's an amazing thing to see. Sometimes I find myself over there on the bench, like being a spectator, because I'm so like enthralled in just the appreciation of the high level of players that we have.
How about a little appreciation though for the way Butler battled you guys back today?
No, like listen, and we said this to our guys. Said, listen, they are one of the oldest teams in the country.
And they're good.
And they're on a 7-game win streak. And they have guys that have come from other schools. They got a chip on their shoulder, and they got something to prove, right? So no matter what the circumstances are, as they come on the road, they're not going to be treating this as a bunch of rookies seeing this for the first time. Pierre Brooks, hat off to him, amazing player. DJ Davis, amazing player. And we told our guys that Posh Alexander is one of the best rebounding guards in the country. And amazing, at getting steals. So we told him, but he still got his 5 offensive rebounds, and that's something that we got to address.
Well, they executed very well. Landon Moore off the bench. I mean,
Yeah.
he was terrific too. He came
Landon
in
Moore
there,
was.
shot the ball. But you guys, I tell you what, I've been talking about the last play of regulation, and I know you guys practice late game situations. That play there, you could tell it was you guys worked on that a number of times, where Jaden takes the ball along the sideline there, and then he gets underneath the basket, and he has options to throw to guys to get the shot. He finds the right guy for the 3, and Gaines had to knock that one down. That was a big play.
And I'll tell you, like Coach does an amazing job. Coach English does an amazing job of keeping our guys ready, right? So we're always at a level of being prepared for any circumstance you're going to see. I will honestly say Nate Thomason, our offensive coordinator, called some strategic stuff down the stretch. He and I were talking on the bench, ran the Spain play. Devin got his 3. And he's been continually pouring into Jaden, watching film with Jaden, because we know, like, we've turned the ball over a ton, right? And so, like, our point guards had to respond today, and us just having 7 turnovers, dropping that number down, the reason why we were able to go into overtime and win the game.
Well, number of guys stepped up too, Coach. I mean, big plays that had to be made. Like Bryce Hopkins get a big rebound when we're down 2 and gets to score, pump fake inside, and you had Carter making little fallaways, and you had Oduro tipping in a missed free throw to get it back to tied. I mean, those are big plays in the game that, you just can't comprehend sometimes, but good players do those things.
And players that want the moment, right? And so we continuously, continue talking about them about staying in the moment. So Coach English has a phrase he used with the team, so what, now what, right? Okay, they made their run. They came back. They took the lead. So what, now what? And that is the response. So what, now what? Forget what just happened, and let's focus on the right now and be in the moment. And that's what that is. That's when you get those tip ins. That's when Devin hits those big plays after not even really getting much action on the offensive end in the first half. And then Bryce staying locked in, even though he missed his free throws, giving the team every single thing he has to help us get to the victory.
Well, you showed a portion of the team that can play a different style as well, too, because your style is to get up and down the floor, speed up the opposition, get easy baskets. But this game here was a Big East rock fight from after the first 15-0, because it became a half-court game, and you guys executed very well in the half court.
Joe, I'll tell you, like this team right here, this team could do whatever the game dictates in order to get the W. When they play together, and we all are pouring in our very best efforts. It's not even about scoring the ball. When we're rebounding at a high level, when we're sharing the ball, when we're running our lanes, when we're executing defensively, we're down in our stance, and we're getting stops. This team can accomplish whatever they want.
Well, that was an awesome way to go into Christmas now. We can have a exhale and have some fun, and then you got some time off now, and you got Seton Hall coming in here after New Year, and they just had a big win being the UConn Huskies.
Listen, I'm going to tell you this right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Christmas break. I'm going to enjoy Christmas break. And when we come back, I'll think about Seton Hall. But for the next 4 days, I ain't think about no basketball.
I don't blame you, Coach.
This game here took some cat lives off you for sure.
Hey, my heart beating so fast, and there's so much going on. Like, literally, like, this was a great way to enter into Christmas for the guys. And Coach told them in film, he said, guys, all I want is a W. Like, that's all I want is a W. If you guys give me that for Christmas. So, Coach English, we did it for you, man. And, let's just let everybody enjoy it.
Well, you enjoy it, too.
Absolutely, Coach.
I will.
Thank you.
Great
Tim
job.
Fuller joining us here courtside as the Friars end up winning it 85-75 in overtime against Butler. He was 100% on, Joe. The game was won in the first 5 minutes and in the last 5 minutes. course, overtime. The Friars outscored the Bulldogs by 25 points in those 10 minutes.
How about Tim Fuller? Was he fired up or what? He was having a
Absolutely.
good time, baby.
I don't blame him. I wanted to sit here and watch the game, too. You and I had to work. We can't sit here and watch this thing.
This isn't work. Are you kidding me? This isn't work. This
What,
is
we
fun.
don't get paid for
I
this?
would have been really disappointed though for Christmas if we didn't
Yeah.
win this game, though. But
Yeah.
what a win.
Especially, think about it, though, especially because you got 10 days off now.
I know you got a ton of time off. I mean, you worry about that because you're playing in a good rhythm. You got things
Right.
going, and now you're going to have 10 days off. The other teams are going to be playing during that
A little
period of
bit.
time. So,
Yeah.
but hey, you enjoy this one and make sure you stay in shape. 10 days, the old rule of thumb is, it takes you 4 weeks to get in great shape. It takes you 1 week to get out of shape. So hopefully they're running when they're off.
We'll continue with our Santander postgame wrap-up coming up next from Learfield. This is Providence Friar basketball. No, what happened? Oh, Donovan Klingen's out 3 to 4 weeks with his foot.
Ooh, wish we were playing them now. Shit.
No kidding. No, he'll come back in time for us, I think. When do we play them first?
31st.
Of January?
We're the end.
He'll be back.
He'll be back for that.
He'll be back.
But St. John's, they get a break now. They play him at Connecticut without him.
Yep.
But their backup guys are pretty good.
Yeah, Samson Johnson.
But, the big kid, Serena, what's his name?
Who?
The big kid for St. John's.
Soriano.
Soriano. I mean, he'd have a tough time against Klingham.
Mm-hmm. $16 to 6 in the overtime.
That's crazy.
Thank you.
You leaving? Oh, yeah. We'll see you. Love you too, man. See you.
Yeah, inside, that was Josh Oduro tipping in a miss there that actually was huge for the Friars. You talked about it, Joe, in the late in the first half to keep the Friars in the ballgame after Butler had sort of assumed command.
Yeah, I mean, Butler, had the momentum in the ball game, and they had the tempo of the game. They took it away from the Friars, but the Friars played that half-court set and kept grinding away. And when you have a guy like Josh Oduro, he's a terrific weapon to have when you get in that half-court set because he has great footwork. He can beat most big guys off the dribble, get to the basket, a little fall away. What about the reverse?
Yeah.
Left-handed on that shot. He's made big shots. I mean, look at his stats. Had 14 rebounds, 19 points, 6 assists. I mean, he's the leading assist guy in the game, leading rebounder in the game with the 19 points. I mean, that guy is just such a good player. I was saying to you before, I wish he was a freshman instead of a fifth-year senior.
Well, if he was a freshman, he wouldn't be playing like that on the floor.
What?
If he was a freshman, he'd be one and done.
Hey, it's Christmas time. We can wish for things.
Yeah, I suppose we can. Yeah. If you want to, that's fine. John and Joe back at the Amp here. Our Santander postgame show continues. 85-75. The Friars beat Butler back in overtime. Let's take a look at the numbers then that kind of tell the story. Bulldogs now dropped to 10-3. Great start to their season, 1-1 in conference play. They beat Georgetown in their opener, and they will next play at St. John's on January the 2nd. So they got some time off coming as well. But this Butler team is not the team that you remember it was last year or any of the subsequent years. This may be the best team Butler has had since some of those NCAA teams and getting to the finals back in 2010 and 2011 of the tournament, because Thad Matta, a complete rebuild, a complete makeover through the transfer portal this past offseason, and the guys he found are all pretty good. And I think Coach Fuller put it well. They got chips on their shoulder. They want to show that they can play together at this place, and I thought that they almost pulled off a shocker today.
Oh, especially Pasha Alexander. He would like to stay at St. John's. He's from New York, and Pitino didn't want him. So he goes to Butler, and he had 10 rebounds, so he was the leading rebounder for Butler in the game. His weakness is he can't shoot, but he does everything else out there. Defensively, he did a great job on Carter for most of the game. Wouldn't let him catch the ball, but then when Carter finally got the ball, it was too late. But, and then DJ Davis, we talked about him, John. He went to University of Carol Irvine, the Anteaters out there, and he played 40 minutes in the game, and he's a very good shooter and solid player. So that's a good backcourt. When you start with a good backcourt, then you have Brooks and Telfer to deal with. Those guys are good players.
All right, let's take a look at the numbers then. They were led in scoring by 22 points from DJ Davis, who actually had 17 of the 22 in the second half. And, he's the seventh best free throw shooter in the nation. And he came in and hit a perfect 6 for 6 from the line. Only person that really kind of showed that. 22 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists in his 39 minutes. And then they had 20 points from Pierre Brooks, 6'6" junior, transfer from Michigan State. He wasn't getting the time that he thought he deserved, from Tom Izzo, Michigan State. Comes here with a point to prove. And there were times, Joe, I thought in the first half and early in the second half where the Friars had no answer for him.
Yeah, he was terrific. He makes three-pointers, so you got to get up on him. And then when you get up on him, he get by you and has that mid-range game in the paint there with a little floaters. Yeah, he's a very, very solid player.
All right, so Pierre ends up with 20 points and 7 rebounds. He played 40 minutes. And then the other Bulldog in double figures was Landon Moore, the sophomore out of Bloomington, Illinois, transferred from St. Francis, Pennsylvania. So he was on the Northeast Conference all-rookie team a year ago, averaged 13 points a game for St. Francis, and he had 14 in this one. 8 of those came in the first half.
Yeah, 14 points in 16 minutes, and he had 2 3-pointers in the first half when Butler was really struggling to score. Started 0 for 11. He came in off the bench and knocked down 2 threes that helped his team at least hang around in the beginning. And he did a nice job. Good lift off the bench.
He really did. And there's another point. Guy with a chip on your shoulder. You play in the NEC. You make the all-rookie team. You come play at a different level. And he has a game that's probably going to get him some notice in a lot of places. 8 points for Jamil Telfort for Butler, the transfer from Northeastern, just 4 of 16 shooting the floor. He actually played against the Friars and scored 11 points a year ago when he was playing for Northeastern. Managed just 8 points again on 4 of 16 shooting today. 3 points for Jalen Thomas in the ball game, and his only deuce actually came in the overtime. 6 points for Posh Alexander, but he did have, as Joe said, a team-high 10 rebounds, also had 2 assists and 1 steal in his 35 minutes. And then you had Andre Screen, the 7-foot big man backup, a transfer from Bucknell in this game, came in and supplied a couple of points as well. They have 8 transfers on this Butler roster, and thus far, I'm really amazed at how they've been able to mix together.
Well, when you have 2 good guards, I just mentioned, John, Posh Alexander and DJ Davis, who are seniors and a fifth-year guy, those guys, they can handle the point position. They can shoot. Davis is a good shooter. When you have 2 veteran guards there, they can run the program out there for the bigger guys to get the ball, and they set them up nicely. So their transition to each other with those 8 new guys has been because of the 2 guards.
And Coach Fuller mentioned, oldest team, one of the oldest teams. You have a 5th-year guy in Thomas, a 4th-year guy in Brooks, a 4th-year guy in Telford, a 4th-year guy in Davis, a 5th-year guy in Posh, a 4th-year guy in Screen. So, I mean, they've got experience up and down the lineup.
Yeah, and the Landon Moore is just a sophomore, and he came in and did the job as well. So, this is going to be a good team all year long.
Should be a thorn in a lot of teams' side in this topsy-turvy Big East to start the season. They go 29 of 74 for the game from the floor. That's 39%. So the Friar defense holds them under 40 again. The Friar defense, number 1 in the Big East and 16th nationally in field goal shooting at 37.9%. They hold Butler to 39 today. Butler 6 of 18 from 3, 33%, and they were only 11 for 20 from the free throw line. Might have been certainly a difference in the game. Butler came in 7th nationally in team free throw shooting at just a tick under 80% with the foul line. They managed 55 today.
Yeah, that's going to hurt them percentage-wise, I'm sure, but that hurt them in this ball game too. At one point, they were 6 for 12 from three-point range, so they ended up missing their last 6 shots from three-point range. And the only guy who made free throws at a good clip was Davis. Other than that, I mean, they didn't make the shots. And when you're on the road, you especially have to make free throws. But the Friars helped them out with their poor foul shooting too. But the Friars made their last 6 in a row from the foul line.
Yeah, 6 assists on 29 made baskets for Butler. Rebounding battle ended up going to Providence, 47-43, the slight edge, but Butler did have 12 offensive rebounds, so something to think about. But they only got 6 second chance points off of those 12 offensive rebounds. And then turnovers, Butler only had 5 for the game. Friars had 7.
Yeah, I mean, both teams did a good job of taking care of the ball. And the defense by both teams, John, I thought was very good. I mean, there was very, very few open looks out there. You had to work for everything.
All right, for the Friars, they have 4 in double figures, led by Devin Carter's season-high 24. 1 shy of his career-high of 25 he had last year against Creighton. But Devin ends up with 20 of his 24 points in the second half and overtime. In fact, let's see, he scored 3, 6, 7, 8, 10 of the Friars' 16 points in the overtime.
Man, he was a highlight film there in the overtime and the end of in that second half. The first half, I was worried about him. He came out in the first half. It looked like he was on vacation already. He had 4 points. He looked like he was disinterested. He was 0 for 3 from 3 and just didn't feel like he was into the game. Defensively, his man scored a couple of times. I was wondering if he was sick, but then finally the light bulb came on in the second half and overtime. He just took over the game.
Yeah, and Josh Oduro then had 19 points and 14 rebounds. And for Oduro, that's a season high in rebounding. It's his second double-double of the year, the 17th of his collegiate career.
Yeah, the light bulb's always on with him. I mean, that guy can really play. He's so smart out there as a player. He can make threes, and he's the footwork is very good in the paint. He makes foul shots. I mean, he's just a very, very good player.
You know what, Joe? Down the stretch in the overtime, both Carter and Oduro are playing with 4 fouls.
Yeah, and Oduro, one overtime game the Friars lost this year, he wasn't able to play in the overtime because he fouled out. So staying on the floor is big because a lot of the offense goes through him when you need the half-court offense rolling.
17 points for Devontae Ticket Gaines. Gaines hit 5 3-pointers in this one, hit 4 of 7. I think it actually ended up 4 of 9, but he hit 4 of his first 6 or 7 in the first half. Scored 12 points in the first half and then scored only 5 in the second half, but nothing bigger than that 3 that tied it up at 69 to put it in overtime.
Man, that was a huge shot. You talk about clutch. I mean, it's easy to take that shot when you tie it up, but when you're down 3, it has to go in. There's 2 seconds to go. The ball's in the air. You miss it, the game's over. And he was the reason why the Friars got to overtime, and Devin Carter could go bananas in overtime. But Gaines, I mean, he's such a good defensive player too, John. We don't talk much about his defense, but he's a very good defensive player. He took 13 shots in the game. 12 of those were 3-pointers. And he's just solid out there, and it was big reason why this Friars team won the game.
Had 5 rebounds as well in his 40 minutes. Bryce Hopkins, God bless him, had a tough night shooting, only 12 points, did have 13 rebounds. So Hopkins ends up with his 5th double-double of the season and the 15th of his career. But his 12 points, 5 of 14 shooting, 0 for 5 from 3, and only 2 for 7 from the free throw line in 41 minutes.
Yeah, he's been struggling shooting the ball, but he played the most minutes of anybody. Played 41 minutes and 23 seconds in the game. He never comes out because when you take Odoro out, Bryce has to play the center position.
Right.
So he has to play against, two positions. And sometimes that can affect your offense, the way you're shooting the ball. I mean, he's not shooting the ball very well, but he's giving it to you everywhere else. He has the 13 rebounds, which were all big on it. The 12 of those were defensive rebounds. The one offensive rebound he had was the biggest one he had in the game because we were down 2 at the time, and there was a missed shot. He got the rebound between 3 Butler players, pump fake, and scored the layup late in the game.
Right.
That kept the Friars in the ball game. But he had a good game. I mean, he's just struggling shooting the ball, and if he can snap out of that soon, I mean, he's going to be a nightmare to guard.
The rest of the scoring, 8 points for Jaden Pierre with 6 assists to lead the Friars in that category in 39 minutes. And Jaden's 2 big free throws helped seal it at the end in overtime. 3 points off the bench for Garway Dual and 2 points in 5 minutes for Rafael Castro. Friars shot 30 of 66. That's 45.5 from the floor. A little below their average, but they picked it up again late in the game and in the overtime. And actually in the overtime is when the Friars really kind of got it going. They outscored Butler 16-6 in the extra 5 minutes. Hit 12 for 33. Wow. Half of their shots were from three-point range. Hit 12 of them. That's 36%. 33 of their 66 attempts were from deep.
Well, you put 2 games together, Marquette game and this one together, the Friars have taken more threes than 2-point shots in those games combined.
Right.
So, I mean, they're looking for the 3, and, you outscore your opponent 12-6 from 3-pointers.
13 of 22 from the free throw line. Yikes. The Friars have only shot 60% from the foul line in the last 2 games combined.
And they won both games. So, I mean, if they're making free throws, the probably game would be a lot easier to win. But, you got to get at other areas if you're not making free throws. But you got to be able to get in the gym and work on that. There's no excuse for not being able to make 2 free throws in a row.
Got some time to do that now, I would guess. 17 assists on 30 made baskets. They out-rebound Butler 47-43 and turn it over only 7 times, which certainly is a good mark in that one. And the Friars move, as we said, to 2-0 in Big East play, and they'll have one more home game in 10 days on January the 3rd against Seton Hall here at home before going out on the road. It's an opportunity to do something they have not done in the previous 44 years of the Big East Conference.
It's amazing, huh? But, a good start. Got 2 wins in a row here, and now you have some time off. But Seton Hall's coming in here, and they beat UConn in the last ball game. A UConn team that I thought wouldn't lose any games, but Klingham's going to be out the big center now for 2 or 3 weeks. We just told. So when he's out of the game, that makes UConn a much different team.
In front of 11,602 here this afternoon, the Friars improved to 11-2 as they get the win 85-75 in overtime over the Butler Bulldogs. A final timeout to take. Joe and I will wrap things up next. From Learfield, this is Providence Friar basketball. How was that game?
Let's wrap things up.
I am. Last time out.
Put me on.
I know you.
My dad welcome to you guys. Oh, thank you. You met him at Capitol Grill once. Oh, that's one. We came down here a couple times.
Oh, thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Do you really have any? I'm sorry to ask. Do you have anything like I might give him?
Yeah, hold on.
Well, I've got plenty of stuff that you can get on tickets.
Thank you so much.
Those are the notes from the game.
It's awesome. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
You bet. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Great meeting you as
You
always.
bet.
Thank you.
I could have given him a lot of stuff. Let me know when you're going to be here.
Just got boxes of PC gear.
Take it away. I don't need it anymore.
Just being lazy.
A lot of guys from class of 87. You got Rich Gotham, president of Celtics. He graduated class of 87. Everything by 87. That was Patino here with the Final Four team. Every guys pop up from 87's been a year.
Monday we're going to my mother-in-law's. Where does she? I got to work tomorrow night, but I got to be there around 4 in the afternoon. So. Where does your mother-in-law? Johnson. Oh, okay, it's not bad. But my brother-in-law is.
I got your wire, man.
So it's a pain. What? Yeah. It smells. What? Are you serious? I swear to God. It's gross. I don't know. I think he's just rich and No. Like ass and BO.
Like he does
Like he doesn't shower. I bought him a hygiene kit. I plan on taking it to a side and giving it to him.
I think Matt had the right idea before the game. He went down and bought himself a sweatshirt.
A hoodie.
So
Oh.
damn cold. He's like, I don't feel like freezing again.
I know. As soon as everybody gets out of here, man, it's cold.
My wife, I'm pretty sure she knows that he smells it. My wife's the only one that claims that she can smell it too. My mother-in-law pretends that I just busted the break B&B.
Thank you.
Came over my house and sat down on my couch and the cushion in the garage for a whole month to air it out. I swear on my kids.
Man, we're gonna lose a lot of guys this year, though. We got to get
I
some
know.
veterans in here.
I know. Going to have to go to the portal ourselves next year.
Yeah. Oh, Kim's good at picking talent, though. He's.
Yeah.
This is the year he's fine. This is the first year that they're officially married. So, I mean, I got him the hygiene kit. I can finally say, hey, you're part of the family now.
Hey, Butler will have to do it over again next year, too. All those guys are gone.
Yep.
Here we go.
Who? That me or you?
I think that was me. But
Oh man. I mean, that was insane.
I think I popped a blood vessel on that one. That was Devin Carter's 3 in the overtime that actually put the Friars out on course to the 85-75 win here over Butler in overtime. At the
That
end.
was right in front of us. I remember
Yeah.
Kim he actually tapped Devin in the back before that play even started, and he catches it and he shoots it right in the face from somebody. I mean, he just got to go. When you get in the zone like that, it
You
doesn't
gotta
matter.
go. You gotta go. So clearly, Devin Carter is our Audi Warwick outstanding performance of the game with his 24 points, a season high for him. He also had 8 rebounds as well. You know, he's one of the best rebounding guards in the Big East. He's had 8 rebound games back to back now.
Yeah, he's so quick to the ball too, John. And they all hit the glass. I mean, they don't stand around waiting for somebody else to get the rebound.
9
all 5
rebounds.
guys.
Actually. I didn't count him when he had 9 today.
Yeah, all 5 guys get on the glass. I mean, he was 1 rebound away from 3 guys would have had double-digit rebounds, but Odoro with 14 and Hopkins with 13. I mean, the front line did a good job of getting on the glass for sure.
All right, so the rest of the Big East schedule today, just quickly so you can kind of get an idea of what's coming up later today. The rest of the schedule, you have Seton Hall playing at Xavier. Do we have a score on that? You have an update on that one, Austin? Right now, Xavier leading Seton Hall 32-23 right at the end of the first half. And Xavier, this is their Big East opener at home. They're 0-1. Seton Hall, of course, knocked off UConn in their opener, moved to 1-0. And it will be Seton Hall who will be in here on January the 3rd. Later this afternoon, Villanova will play at DePaul, and St. John's will play at UConn. And for the defending national and Big East, or national champs anyway, it's their home opener. And as we said earlier, we heard that Donovan Klingen's going to be out 3 to 4 weeks with a foot injury.
Yeah, that's a big loss for UConn. I mean, but they have a ton of talent. I mean, the guys backing him up aren't bad either. Then you can
Samson
put
Johnson.
You throw him in the middle, but you can put Caravan and play the middle as well. But their guards are very good. So UConn will miss him, but they're still a formidable team without him.
So those are the games that are on the schedule later. And of course, as we mentioned, Seton Hall getting their second game. It'll be the Pirates in here on January the 3rd. Now, it's unusual to do this. This is usually the length of the break that you have between exams. And while the Friars had 6 days off between games during their final exam schedule, this is their largest break of the year. It's 10 full days before they'll play again.
Yeah, that's a long break because it happens again in February from the 21st to the 28th, I think, of February. There's no game. But right now, I have 10 games at this time. You normally, you're in a Christmas tournament, or we played like 3 times in 4 years on New Year's Eve. But all this time is off right now, and hope they enjoy it.
Well, you're basically talking, let's see, it's January 3rd. What's today? Today is December the 23rd, right?
Right.
So we've actually got darn near 2 weeks almost. Here we go, right?
Yeah, that's a long time
off.
But, when they come back and be ready and practice.
They'll be starting 3-0 at home.
Yeah, and
with the first 3 games of the year, I should say.
The nice thing we're looking forward to, I know Christmas is Monday, but that's when they normally have the vote for the top 25, and I have to believe the Friars will be in the top 25 come next week.
Could be in it for the next 2 weeks since they don't play a game next weekend.
Oh, yeah. Take that.
I would guess probably so, right? Our thanks, of course, to Tiffany Van Nerden, our producer, who did a super job this afternoon, our engineer, Matt Morrell, Austin Rook with our halftime report and, of course, the stats throughout the course of the game. And for my partner, Joe Hassett, I'm John Rook. Again, our final score is Providence 85 and Butler 75 in overtime here at the AMP this afternoon.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas indeed. We thank you for taking time. We hope that it's a safe and happy holiday for everyone who is a part of the Fryer family. Whether you like them or you don't, you're still our family, and we love you anyway, and we hope that you have a great holiday season. We'll have our next broadcast again on January the 3rd against the Seton Hall Pirates. And that game is scheduled for a 6:30 tap here inside the AMP. So we'll have the broadcast at 6:10 p.m. right here on News Talk 99.7 and AM 630 WPRO. We hope that you'll join us. Have a very safe and happy holiday, everyone. So long. Until next time. Thanks, Tiffany. Yep, you too. Merry Christmas.